Okay, so 1914, war breaks out in Europe, and African Americans that have fought in every war since the inception of America get suited and booted. It's time for us to get active, okay? Over 300,000 African Americans enlist to be able to go to war. Though the majority of them did not have combat positions, they still was like, we got to get out here. We got to be able to fight, right? But then you had the 369th as well as the 370th Infantry. 369th, also known as the 369th, known as the Hellfighters, and the 370th, known as the Black Devils, were the ones that were able to be on the front lines. And they were originally assigned to the French army to be able to help assist them. And they put in that work. Overlap. The Great Migration, 1910 to 1970. During this time, you saw a mass exodus of Black people from the South to the West, the North, the Midwest, and the East, okay? This is where two different Great Migrations are happening at one time. You had 1910 to 1940, and then you had like 1940 to 1970, okay? Now, from 1910 to 1940, a lot of the reasons why people were migrating was due to better economic opportunities, better housing, as well as being able to just get out of that Jim Crow area. Okay, and during that time frame, they say some odd 6 million Black people left the South to be able to pursue other opportunities. Then you have the second side of the Great Migration, which really came down to gerrymandering or the redlining rather, right? And so in the housing market, there was a lot of redlining that was happening towards the mid to late 1970s, which was keeping Black people out of certain places and spaces in order for them to be able to live. And so that also caused another influx of African Americans leaving the South. This is why you find a heavy concentration right now of Black people in Detroit, in Chicago, in places like New York, okay? It's because of the Great Migration. Now fast forward to modern time. You had COVID-19, which struck in about 2020, okay? And during that time, you had a lot of younger people that began to migrate to other places and spaces. And that was basically for economic opportunity. And because of the fact that it was just too expensive for them to be staying where they were, and there were no more jobs, and people weren't able to work, and people were being laid off. And so what they did is they began to reshuffle themselves. Why is this important? With the most recent conversation that's going on about what's happening with tariffs, what's happening with a lot of the funding that's being cut and how it's impacting various sectors of business. The question becomes, how are you going to prepare yourself to still be okay in a time like this? In this particular time period, though it's talking about how African Americans ensure that they would be okay and ensure that they would be able to access better economic opportunity, there are lessons that can be learned by everyone, which is that you should be willing to do whatever it takes to be able to make sure that you are taken care of and that your family is taken care of, all the way up to and including relocation. Because for every sector that is negatively impacted, there is another sector that's going to be doing okay. The thing about economic opportunity and the workforce is that every decade there is a change in the bolstering of a specific kind of workforce. Tori, what are you talking about? Well, early 2000s, all the way up until about now, really, really huge STEM push. Right? We have technology, we have computer science, right? Now what you see is that there is a change from STEM, computer science, technology, software engineering. You have this now change to project management. That's the next wave. According to PMI, which is the Project Management Institute, which does govern the certification of project managers, they're saying that within the next 5 years, they are going to need tens of millions of project managers to be able to handle the workload of this particular sector. The thing about it is that the workforce has always ebbed and flowed. It has always changed. The people that have been negatively impacted by this change are people who also refuse to change. One thing that I was taught when I was younger is to never be afraid to try something new. And when you're younger, you really don't understand why people would even tell you this. And that's just because everything is new. So of course you're not afraid to try something new. You've never lived on your own. Now you got to live on your own. You've never moved away. Now you have to move away. You've never been to college before. So now you have to try college. Everything is new. But something that we tend to forget is that after you've been doing these new things long enough, you get comfortable and you begin to create a routine. And then when that routine is interrupted, you are hesitant to try something new because it's something that you haven't done in a long time, or because you're afraid of failing, or it's because you have come to realize that there are limitations within yourself that when you're younger, you never knew existed. And so you were never fighting to convince yourself that you can do something different than what you've already done. But now you are. And now you're trying to figure out, can I make the pivot? Can I be okay? And I want to be able to encourage you. You can make the pivot. You can make the change. You will be okay. The moment that you're not okay is almost 100% due to the fact that you won't pivot and that you won't change. Life is forever changing. It's forever ebbing and forever flowing. Things may seem scary right now, but do it afraid. Do it scared. You're capable. You've already done it before. You've already done a new thing. You've already pushed yourself to one limit. Push yourself to another limit. Greatest risks give the greatest return. So if you're asking Tori with the tariffs and all this other stuff, you said to make sure that you're okay. How can I make sure that I'm okay? What is it that I can do? Change. That's what you can do. Adjust yourself for the new environment that will be America, for however long this new environment exists. And then when the environment changes again, change.